Eala set for WTA rankings blow after disappointing Qatar Open defeat. Eala would have been brimming with confidence ahead of the Qatar Open, but her hopes of a strong run were dampened with an opening round defeat. The Filipina impressed during her quarterfinal showing at the Abu Dhabi Open last week, reaching the last 8 of the WTA 500 event. However, despite a strong run to start her Middle East swing, Eala was unable to build on that momentum in Doha, falling to rising star Teresa Valentova. Teen star Valentova had beaten Eala at the Japan Open in Osaka last October and again triumphed against the Filipina in their second meeting, edging a tight first set before easing to a 7-6, 6, 6-1 victory. Valentova will now have the opportunity to test herself against compatriot and 14th seed Karolina Muchova in round 2, with Eala's tournament now over. Defeat for Eala arguably stalls her momentum from Abu Dhabi, and means that her WTA ranking will now be affected. What prize money and ranking points did Eala earn? Big prize money is on offer at the Qatar Open this year, with the eventual women's singles champion set to take home an impressive $665,000 for their victory. However, after losing in the opening round, Eala will earn just $18,300 for her campaign at the opening WTA 1000 event of the year. This year's champion will also be boosted significantly in the WTA rankings, with a staggering 1,000 points on offer. For her round 1 exit, Eala is in line to earn just 10 ranking points. The Filipina moved up 5 places to a new career high of world number 40 in this week's WTA rankings, though is already guaranteed to drop places in next week's update. As it stands, Eala is already down 3 places to world number 43 in the WTA live rankings, with lots of potential movement possible until the Qatar Open concludes on Saturday. One player leaping ahead of Eala is Valentova, with the 18-year-old provisionally up 8 places to a new career high of world number 40 in the WTA live rankings, following her victory over the Filipina on Monday. Also leapfrogging Eala is Diana Yastremska, with the Ukrainian up 1 place to world number 41 in the WTA live rankings, following a 3-set win over Kristina Buxa to start her Qatar Open campaign. Meanwhile, Jelena Ostapenko's opening round win was enough for the Latvian to move ahead of Eala in the WTA live rankings, with the Latvian defending finalist points in Doha. Across the rest of the week, it is possible that Eala could drop further in the WTA live rankings ahead of next Monday. Eala, the rising star, the setback, and the story beyond a defeat. In sport, and in life, the line between triumph and disappointment is often thinner than we'd like. For Eala, the Filipino sensation whose rise in women's tennis has captured the hearts of fans across the Philippines and beyond, that line has lately been on dramatic display. At the WTA 1000 Qatar Total Energies Open in Doha, Eala's campaign ended sooner than hoped, a first-round loss in straight sets to 18-year-old Czech talent Teresa Valentova. The defeat, coming just hours after the official WTA rankings were released, means Eala is poised to drop down the rankings, a setback that belies the growing promise she has shown all season. Yet to frame this moment merely as a loss and a fall in rankings would be to miss the fuller story. The story of a young athlete battling expectations, breaking barriers, and learning in public at the highest levels of her sport. The path to Doha, momentum and history. Just days before her Qatar Open exit, Eala had reached a career-high world number 40 in the official WTA rankings, the highest she's ever been in her career. This already historic ascent was the result of several strong performances early in the 2026 season. A quarterfinal run at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, where she battled tough opponents and showcased tenacity, helped vault her up the rankings. Earlier appearances, including at the ASB Classic and the Australian Open, added consistency and credibility to a fast-rising resume. For a 20-year-old to hit the WTA top 40 is already a remarkable milestone. But even more than raw numbers, this ascent signaled that Eala had the talent to consistently compete with the game's elite, and that her story was far from complete. Doha, a tough match, heavy expectations. The Qatar Open is one of the most prestigious stops on the WTA Tour, a 1,000-level event that attracts nearly all of the top players in women's tennis. In such an arena, rankings points are plentiful, and so are opportunities for shifts in position. In her first match in Doha, Eala faced Teresa Valentova, herself a rising force who had already begun making waves by breaking into the top 50. Although Eala fought hard early, pushing the first set into a tiebreak, Valentova ultimately imposed her game, closing out the match 6-7, 6-1. For Eala, every defeat at this level carries extra weight, not just in terms of ranking points lost, but in the very narrative of her career. This was a player who had just risen to a historic peak, only to be reminded of how quickly the world of professional tennis can shift, why the ranking dip matters, and why it doesn't define her. Rankings in tennis are a rolling, 52-week system, meaning that points earned at one event eventually drop off and must be defended or replaced by new results. In practical terms, not advancing beyond the first round in Doha means Eala won't pick up many points, and her position could slide once the updated rankings are published. From a purely technical standpoint, this is a setback, especially after such a dramatic rise. But in professional tennis, fluctuations are normal, even for the very best. Eala-round losses to strong opponents happen even to top players. Tennis is deep. Many top 50 players could beat each other on any given day. A ranking slide, even outside the top 40, doesn't undo all the progress made. It merely resets the next challenge. More importantly, for a player as young as Eala, these moments can be crucial turning points. They offer a chance to reassess strategy, to learn where her game needs refinement, and to cultivate the mental resilience that makes champions truly great. Putting it in perspective, Eala's growth so far. Yes, the Doha defeat stings, especially in the immediate aftermath of achieving a new high in the rankings. But that high was itself the culmination of notable success. Historic wins and breakthroughs, 2025 to 2026. In 2025, Eala became the first Filipino to reach a WTA singles final at the Eastbourne Open, a milestone moment not just for her, but for Philippine tennis history. That same year, she made waves at the Miami Open, advancing to the semifinals of a WTA 1000 and becoming the first Filipina to defeat multiple top 10 players in a single event. She also captured her first career title at the Guadalajara 125 Open, further solidifying her promise and competitive depth. These aren't isolated flashes. They form the narrative of a player who is breaking ceilings and expanding what is possible for athletes from regions underrepresented in global tennis. What this loss teaches us. In many ways, losses like Doha mirror life off the court. 1. Setbacks are part of growth. Progress is rarely linear. Sometimes, you climb higher only to take a small step back, and that doesn't diminish the climb. 2. Competition is deep and relentless. Today's rising star can be